7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
What's up, everybody?
We're back!
Nations time. Off-season races. So
Great.
videos will be more sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here. Hope everybody enjoyed that outtakes video. If not, we'll link it here.
It was great.
Ding. Anywho, so we're back. We're talking Nations. That's coming up next weekend. Ton of injuries have happened.
Oh my god.
Ton of injuries. So we're kind of all over the board with everything. So what we're going to do, how we're going to break this down, is we are going to do kind of our second tier teams, the first tier teams, and then we're going to do kind of our predictions as to how we think the finishes are going to go. So let's start it off. Second tier, we've got 4 teams, and we kind of just based this on finishing positions from last year a little bit. So basically the 4 teams we have are Italy, Switzerland, Great Britain, and Australia. You go first.
Well, let me start off by saying, and I don't want, because I know we have people from different countries that watch the show, no slight at these teams. We came up with second tier teams because some of these teams, may have 3 solid guys across the board, but maybe only one of them is really expected to get in the top 5 on the box. Maybe win, maybe. And the other 2 guys may have the speed, but they're just a touch off on the outright speed or consistency. So we're not saying that these teams can't win. We're just saying that if you were to look at the grand scheme of things year in and year out, these teams are not expected to be on the box or ultimately win. So I would say we'd probably have to start off with Italy. MX1, everybody knows, 9-time champ, Tony Cairoli. MX2, Michele Servalin, who rides for HRC Honda. And number 3, Alessandro Lupino. Team's kind of gone through a lot of tumultuous times over the years. Because back in the day, it used to be Tony Cairoli, David Philipparts, and David Guarneri, and they were at those times expected to be in the top 5 year in and year out. But now you're talking about, you have 2 guys in Servalin and Lupino who, no disrespect, aren't even really considered top 10 guys in their respective classes year in and year out.
I don't know who they are.
Cairoli's the number 1 guy, let's be honest. He's a 9-time champ. He's expected to win. It's kind of hard for us to think that they would probably do any better than a 7th at best. Because even if Cairoli goes out and wins his 2 classes, which I'm not saying he's going to, but even if he does go out and win, you're talking about Servalin, who was actually riding a 450 last year, and Lupino, who hasn't been picked for the team in like 4 years.
Is Servalin the guy that crashed over the finish line jump at the end of the first moto in Florida?
Yes. In the qualifier? 747 on a Honda.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think so.
yep,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's
okay.
good, but his best finish of the year was like an 8th in a moto.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, that's kind of it. Like,
oh, okay, great.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I think of the team. I mean, you talking about a guy who can win and the other 2 guys who might have a hard time getting inside the top 10.
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know, the MX of Nations, it's changed over the years how they do the point system, but basically, you get first, you get 1 point. You get second, you get 2 points, so on and so forth and stuff. So it doesn't have to do with, hey, Cairoli won his class, but Servalin got 10th in his class, so it's 1 and, that's not how it works. It's literally, however where you finish, you get 1 point, 2 points, and so on and so forth. So Cairoli could win, Servalin and Pino could get like 15-15, and automatically you're at 31 points.
Yep.
So, what do you think? I mean, I know you don't really know the other 2 guys, but like...
Yeah, I know the one guy because he crashed over the finish line, jumped like a goon. What do I think? I think it looks about like a typical... I think I'm pretty surprised they got 5th last year.
Yeah, and I only think that's because Cairoli, went 2-2 in his respect?
I don't know.
I think it was like 2-2 in his respective motos.
All I remember from last year is Anderson getting landed on and Webb almost pulling it off and then crashing.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I remember. So, and the Netherlands pulling off a 2nd place finish, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, as far as Italy goes, yeah, 7th to 10th place. I could see him very, very easily. Yeah,
I mean, they're a great team, but honestly nowadays that's pretty much only because Cairoli's on the team.
Great, stretching it a little bit. Cairoli's a great rider. The rest of them.
Well, no, I don't want to be disrespectful to Servalin and Lupino because they are GP guys and they do have factory rides, but I don't want to be disrespectful to say it. But they are only a good team because Cairoli's on the team. The moment that Cairoli retires, unfortunately, I have a hard time believing that team's ever going to even be in the top 10.
Yeah, probably.
So,
Let's move on to Switzerland here.
now this is a better team.
This is a lot better team, actually.
This team, pretty much every year, year in and year out, if you were to talk about talent, could be considered a top 5 team. But for whatever reason, aside from another... Shitty freaking luck. Arno Tonis in MX1, who has a couple moto wins this year. MX2 was kind of a surprise. Valentin Guillot, who actually has been riding the 450 for the last 2 years, dropping him back down to the 250F, which might be a little bit of a shocker to most people. But for anybody that doesn't know, Guillot in his last year in the 250F was pretty much the only guy to ever beat Hurlings straight up in a moto. And MX3, the second place guy in the MX2 class, Jeremy Sewer. I don't know, man.
I can see him on the box.
Really? You're comfortable enough with Sewer going to the 450?
Comparatively to what I'm looking at with the other teams, I can see him on the box. Pretty easily.
The fact, though, with Sewer, though, that doesn't worry you a little bit? His first race on a ever?
Nah, he's had a good year.
Okay.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why they moved everybody around, but...
Guillot's not that great of a 450
But
guy.
the talent there is there.
If Arno Tonis does not crash in the first turn for like the 5th year in a row, both motos,
Or in the qualifying race.
I could see that. I'm not going to go as far as to say on the box, but they are one of those teams that if there's going to be any second-tier team that's going to get in the top 5, it's definitely going to be them on talent alone. The Sewer thing going to the 450, though, is a little bit... I'm afraid that he's not going to be able to run the pace for 35 minutes, never racing a 450. I mean, dude, he never even raced a 450 in their amateur version of whatever you want to call it, the GPs. So, I mean, it's up in the air with them. I'd say we talk about Australia because the next team.
Okay, so let's talk about Australia then. We've got Dean Ferris, Hunter Lawrence, and what's the last kid's name?
Kurt Gibbs.
Kurt Gibbs, okay, yeah. I don't know the Gibbs kid, but Ferris and Lawrence, I mean, they could be solid. I'm gonna move them from a second tier to a first tier for next year because I think they're gonna get in the top 5 because that's a pretty solid team. I mean, other than I don't know the Gibbs team, but Ferris and Lawrence can hold it together. Okay.
Well, we all saw what Ferris did when we came over here to the States. He got second in the moto. He blew himself out because he hadn't been used to the heat. And Hunter Lawrence actually won the second moto at the last round in the France. And for only the Americans that watched the GP at the WW Ranch, was all over the back of Covington and Hampshire, all the way down to the end. The kid's finally getting his starts dialed. If he can get his starts dialed. Kurt Gibbs, though, not a lot of people know who he is. He was pretty much the only dude over in the Australian series to beat Ferris a few motos, so his speed is there. But I don't know if the lack of just being in that big of an environment, because he's only raced the Australian series. You know, no slight to them because it is a big series, but he's never had this much pressure on his shoulder. And with as good as Dean Ferris and Hunter Lawrence are, there is going to be some pressure for the Australian team to do well this year. And I just don't know if mentally he is going to be ready for this big of a stage. So I do agree with you. I think that they have a chance to get inside the top 5. But I think it's going to all come down to Kurt Gibbs if he can put 2 solid motos in together. Because if you really want to think about it, Dean Ferris and Hunter Lawrence can get both have the speed to get top 5 outright.
Yep.
So it's all going to depend on what Kurt Gibbs does. But they have a strong team. They have a very strong team and could very well move into the first tier. So
sure. Our last second tier team.
Home soil team. I'm excited.
You all right?
No, I'm excited for him.
Are you pumped? Or
yeah, no, I'm pumped for him because I like this team a lot.
We got a whole week here for you to be pumped up. Jesus God, it's going to be willing to deal with.
I ain't even going to talk to you this week.
Great.
Fuck
Good.
off.
Fine.
Dick.
Anyway, Great Britain.
Home soil
Go
team.
ahead. You're excited to talk about them.
Okay. Well, MX1, Max Anstey. MX2, Tommy Searle. MX3, Dean Wilson. I have a lot of faith in this team. Not just because it's going to be
Podium team.
Yes, for sure.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Comparatively to what we're dealing with the rest of the teams.
You got Max Anstey, who I have a lot of faith in that kid, especially moving forward. Once he learned to relax a little bit and respect the 450 more, he was a podium contender week in and week out. Gave Hurlings everything he could handle in the second moto last week at France. Led him for 25 minutes, made a couple mistakes, lost 5 seconds, closed the gap back on him. Anstey's coming in with a lot of hype, a lot of confidence, and he's going to be on home soil. I expect him to come out guns blazing and just kill it. Tommy Searle, maybe a little bit of a surprise going to the MX2 because he's been a 450 guy. But 2 tidbits on Tommy Searle. The last time he rode a 250F in Matterley Basin, he handed it to Hurlings. The last time he rode a 250F in the MX of Nations, he won the class. So, and he's a better 250 guy. That bodes well for them. And third and final, somebody that I go week in and week out with my buddy on, Dean Wilson. We all know how good Dino was in our series this year, particularly Millville and Southwick. Got a couple podiums and stuff. His speed is there. Sometimes I worry about his fitness a little bit.
No, that's the team that's on the box all day long.
Yeah.
Especially with the injuries that plagued the Tier 1 teams from last year. Yep.
No, I definitely agree. I think that they're going to be a lot of hype, and dude, we all know how crazy those the GB fans are and stuff. They're going to be pumping them up. If somebody on that team doesn't get hurt, which has happened to them like the last 10 years, they're going to be solid all weekend long, and it's very hard to bet against that team. So,
sure. Anything else on Tier 2 before we move to Tier 1?
Not so much. Just a lot of.
I would like to point out my one surprise that's kind of just behind the Tier 2. 9th place last year, Estonia.
Because Tanaliluk, who's been on that team for 14 years in a row.
Who the fuck even knew Estonia had motocross?
When the fuck knew Guam had motocross?
That's weird too. Alright. Let's get to Tier 1.
Okay.
Alright, so Tier 1 teams then. Let's start with Belgium.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who the third guy is, but you had that peg. So go ahead and talk about them.
I don't know if you could have any more injuries for a team going into this, because let's just run down the line of what has happened to Belgium.
USA might be on like its D squad. They're on like the G minus.
Travis is not shitting you. So, originally the original team was going to be Clement Nassau in MX1, who's missed the last 4 MX of Nations due to injuries. MX2 was going to be Julian Lieber, and MX3 was going to be Jeremy Van Horbeck, who rode a 250 last year. Then Saul got hurt, I think it was in the Netherlands round in Assen. So then they moved JVH up to MX1. Lieber was staying at MX2. And then Strybos, who has been a veteran of the class, or veteran of the 450 class and a veteran of this team, moved into MX3. Well, then recently in the last round in France, Julian Lieber got hurt, and then they were going to go to Brett Van Donick. Well, then they found out that Brett Van Donick has been dealing with injuries since like the WW Ranch race. So now they're on their third pick. A 16-year-old kid in the MX2 class, or the EMX2 class, who got 6th in the points, Iago Gerets.
It's gonna go well.
Yeah, it's gonna go great. Iago is people are gonna be like, there's no way that's actually a real name. Iago is a very good rider. Very, very hyped up. You know, there's a lot of pressure from him on KTM to eventually be on the Red Bull KTM squad when Jorge Prado comes to the USA. But he's literally only has 1 year, if even a year, on a 250. He's still young, still a tiny kid. It's very hard for me to believe that even though the kid has a lot of sprint speed, he gets good starts, that he's going to come out and with all this pressure on him and not knowing at the last second is going to be able to come out and even remotely get in the top 10. If you want to talk about, even with Strybos, if you want to talk about 2 of the best 450 guys, Belgium has that team, and Van Horbeck and Strybos, who are 2 top 5 guys and podium contenders week in and week out in the MX1 class over in the GPs. But once again, if you're talking about where you finish, that's your points, you could be looking at Van Horbeck could get 5th, Strybos could get 7th, and Iago could get 22nd. And that's not good for your ultimate goal of getting an overall. So, I don't know.
I kind of see them falling out of the first tier here this year. And it's mostly because like they have 2 solid 450 dudes, but that third guy is such a wild card, and no one really knows like how he's going to do against all these wily veterans.
He raced 1 GP. That was the Assen race in the Netherlands, or the Assen race in the Netherlands.
Assen.
And pretty much his weekend was 5th crash, 10th crash, 12th crash.
So he's probably going to crash. And let's touch on the fact of why we're making such a big deal because of him, the MX2. We're not saying that one of the classes means more than the others in the ultimate goal of getting the overall, but let's be honest, it's really all about that third MX1, MX3 moto,
But it's been proven over the years, if you can have a solid 250 guy, like last year with JVH, like with Tomac in 13, with Roxon all the years, and then obviously dating back all the way from 06 to 08 with Villapoto with us. If you can have an MX2 guy, especially in that second moto with the MX3 guys, who aren't necessarily the best with some of these countries, like, no disrespect, but Hungary and Guam and all these teams, that if you have a guy that has great sprint speed and good starts that can go out and get on the box or get a win, it's proven very well to add up to getting a podium. Yago, once again, no disrespect to this kid, maybe in the future, but I have a hard time believing he's going to get inside the top 15 in the moto. So, another ones?
Yeah, just go to that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. You're way deeper in this than I am this year. So you go ahead and you.
What's that supposed to mean?
You give. That means that you know who every one of these random people are.
Hey,
since there's been all these injuries,
hey, wait a minute.
I don't.
You talking about? You calling Glenn Coldenhoff random?
No.
Okay. Actually, I think it's funny that we're starting out when we're talking about the Netherlands because you got bashed for not knowing that the Netherlands got second last year when you said, "What the fuck have they done lately?" And then the guy goes, "Yeah, well, they got second."
I forgot. I remember them celebrating because they were like, "Holy shit, the Netherlands has never been in the top 5 even at those nations, and now they get second." And I'm just like, "Ah, shit."
Well, the Netherlands, same team as last year: MX1 Glenn Coldenhoff, MX2 Bogers, and MX3 Hurlings. Which, even though it really doesn't matter, I think it's funny that they keep putting Hurlings in the MX3 class. I don't understand. Like, he's literally been in the MX3 every year. I think he's gotten picked for this team, even the 250 days. Which once again, it doesn't really matter, but it's just a shock to me that they've never named him team captain. Even I don't get it. I don't understand how some of these.
People don't like it when you're an asshole.
Yeah, I don't understand how some of these team managers
Pay attention.
work. The Netherlands. You think they got another shot at getting on the box? Bogers is the weak link on the team. Let's be honest.
He is, because Koldenhoff and Hurlings can do well. Like Hurlings, there's a good chance he's going to go 1-1.
Yeah. Koldenhoff, though, has been very up and down this year. Koldenhoff, no disrespect to the Hoff, is one of those guys that if he gets up in the morning, his girl... I'm not going to go there, never mind. If he gets up in the morning, his bike's good, it's 75 degrees out and sunny, he had his eggs and waffles, he can go out and get a podium week in and week out. If he goes out there and he knifes the front end of the first turn, he's more than likely going to get 12th.
I would say they stand a chance of getting on the box, but with teams like Australia, Great Britain, and Switzerland there, they're going to be knocking on the door of that tier, going into the Tier 1 this year. It's going to be tough for them. Especially if Koldenhoff doesn't have a good weekend and their MX2 guy struggles.
But we're pretty much in agreement that Hurlings, because of the fact that he can win both motos, is probably going to be the only reason that they can get on the box.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with that. They're a great team. Obviously, they got second last year and they have the same team. It's just because Bogers has had such an up and down year, and Koldenhoff, no disrespect, but he's gotten very fair weather on how his weekend goes. So... I can agree with you everything you said, but they might be a team that goes to Tier 2 next year, even if Hurlings wins.
Yeah.
Because, once again, Bogers could get 8th one moto and 19th the next, and that's just not great.
Yep.
So let's go to the number 1 team.
France.
That's won the last, I think it's 3 years in a row now since Lamel. Or not Lamel, but Keegums. Another team that's had a lot of up and down. Well, I mean, they've been great, though. Let's be honest, we were talking about Belgium. If you're talking about the 2 best 450 guys...
You know, if they wouldn't have sent that kamikaze guy to land on Anderson last year, they wouldn't have won. But they hired that dude to kamikaze Anderson, and fucking here we are.
Travis is heated about that. France, MX1, same, Gauthier Paulin. MX2, Christophe Charlier. MX3, Roman Febvre.
Charlier.
Let's talk about MX2 for a second.
Sounds gay.
Dude, there's going to be so many people from different countries that are going to watch this and be like, "You're the biggest douchebag ever."
Yeah, that's alright. I'm American. They expect that out of me.
Yeah, I know, right? Stereotypes. Christophe Charlier. Christophe Charlier actually used to beat Hurlings and Ken Roxon when they grew up racing together in the EMX series.
How many freaking years ago was that? Would you like to go back to and talk about 07 when Villapoto went 1-1 in MX2?
No, I'm trying to give
way back.
I'm giving the background on Christophe Charlier because a lot of people are going to probably hear that name and have no idea who the fuck he is.
I don't have any idea who the fuck he is.
Great rider. Had some up and down years in the GPs. I think the last time he raced a GP was 14 because he got pretty badly injured. He's been doing the Super Enduros, which is their version of like Enduro Cross and GNCCs. I don't think he's raced a motocross race since like 2015. If you, like I said, if you want to talk about the two best solid 450 guys, France definitely has that team. Once again, you're talking about Christophe Charlier, who has not raced a motocross race in like 2 years. That's going to take a big hit. I'm sorry. I think that if Charlier hadn't got hurt, and it was even Benoit Paturel, and we knew before that it was Ferrandis, they stood a chance to win again for like the 4th year in a row.
Hands down easily.
But, once again, you're talking about a guy that hasn't raced a motocross race in a few years. It's going to be very hard for them to repeat again this year, and especially because we don't really fucking know what goes on with Paul Land and Fevre from week in and week out. Like, Fevre one weekend can run 2nd, the next weekend get 7th.
I know.
And Paul Land, I don't know what's been happening to Gautier. I don't know if there's, like, turmoil going on at Rockstar Husky, but, dude, he was on it. He was, like, on the box every weekend for, like, the first 5 GPs, and then he's just disappeared. Like, disappeared off into the sunset. It's like he's, like, we're planning on retiring. Because team's very up and down. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they're going to repeat this year. That's going to be very hard with a unknown wild card, which a lot of these teams have.
I'm highly skeptical unless Paulin and Fevre have just an on-point weekend that they make it on the box.
And that's
real honest.
And that's going to be very hard to do because obviously they're ultimately going to end up in the MX1, MX3. The fact that Cairoli's an MX1, so I highly doubt Paul Land's going to beat him unless he just everything's clicking. And Fevre, we know ain't going to beat Hurlings unless Hurling hits the deck like 3 times. So even at that, it's going to be very, very hard for them to repeat.
You never know.
Oh yeah,
This
the MX
this last week, Hurlings could break his femur on an 80. You just don't know what could happen there. Things could get wild.
Anyways.
So anywho, one last.
USA! USA!
You are.
I don't give a fuck. Shut up.
Extremely aggressive today.
Shut up, dude. Just shut up.
Team USA.
It's my fault you're not hyped for this.
Go ahead and talk about Team USA.
No, you go ahead, dude. Go ahead. No,
all right, so we've got Cole Seeley, Zach Osborne, and Thomas Covington. The real wild card in all this is Covington racing big 450 in MX3 because he's never raced a 450.
Nope. But apparently he likes it better. Which
So
they
we'll
all say that anyway.
I still think Osborne goes 1-1 for MX2, if not 1-1 for both his motos. Well, okay. Let's backpedal on that.
Whoa.
I said that, and as I said it, I was like, that's wrong. Because I don't think he's going to beat Hurlings. Although, if Osborne wants to truly be considered a motocross gangster, he goes in to the first corner, he's next to Hurlings, and punts him.
You really think that little mini-me Zach Osborne is going to run it in deep on 6'2", probably close to 200 pounds, Jeffrey Hurlings?
Yes.
Doubtful. No fucking way. We're not talking about Joey Savacci.
He did train with Hurlings. So
we're not talking about Joey Savacci in Las Vegas. We're talking about a behemoth compared to Zach Osborne.
Dude, all it takes is just run it up a little bit, get your rear axle hooked on his front as you exit the turn, and freaking drag his front wheel off from under him, and boom.
So what's going to happen to Zach Osborne if he tees up Hurlings? Hurling gets up, closes the gap back on him with 1 lap to go, and completely kills him.
Maybe he just squares up a corner, cuts back down under Hurlings, comes back up in the next one, and punts him again. Who knows?
Doubtful. Okay.
Outside of that, though, I'd say the race that he doesn't have to race Hurlings. So when it's MX1 and MX2, he does stand a chance to win that.
I don't think he can beat Cairoli if Cairoli's feeling it. No.
Maybe.
No
I don't
way.
know.
Hell no. Hell no, dude.
Dude, you gotta understand. This is Osborne's dream.
Yeah, I
has
know.
finally come to fruition.
Been very well documented.
I am going to race for Team USA at the MXdN at a track he knows very well. I can see it happening. I know you don't like him because you're a fucking hater.
Whatever.
But I see it happening. Go ahead. Your turn.
I like Osborne's chances to be the first person in a long time to pull off what RV did in 07 at Budds Creek. but it's very unlikely.
You
especially
just told me no. I literally just said, hey, I think he could win. Not even the one he's in with Hurlings, but the other one, and you just shit all over my chest about it. And now you're going to go, well, I think he might be.
No, I'm saying if anybody's going to have a chance of the last few years in the MX2 class,
I can't deal with you sometimes.
he's going to be the
fucking
guy,
bullshit.
but it's not going to happen. It's not going to fucking happen. There's no way he beats Cairoli, and there's no way he beats Hurlings, especially in Matterley Basin with that start.
How can you even open your mouth with some dumb shit like that?
Did you not listen to me?
You're like a riddle wrapped in a puzzle, wrapped in a contradiction.
Did you literally not listen to me?
You are a hypocrite.
I literally just said that if there's going to be
We
one
should call
person...
Matt right now because this would be way more interesting with Matt.
He's definitely would never say Osborne would win. There's no fucking way. He hates Osborne just like I do.
No, but what you just said, he would...
Did you not listen to me? I said if anybody stands a chance out of the last few MX2 guys that we've had, it's going to be Zach Osborne. And then you didn't let me finish. I was going to go on to say, but there's no fucking way it happens. I'm saying if I was going to give a puncher's chance to any of the guys, it was going to be him. And that's not including Eli Tomac in 2013. I would say before that, because Tomac almost did it, and then he just fucking decided to ragdoll 35 feet in the air. There's no way. There's no fucking way. The only way that happens is if Cairoli and Hurling stack up in the first turn. Now, Osborne can get second at his motos, but there's no damn way in hell that he's going to beat those guys. Plain and simple. There's no way. No way. He might not even get second. Because you're talking about Matterley Basin where the start is so crucial. Because other than that, even though the track does look sick and they've changed some things, it's as USA can be, all floaters and booters and shit. But there's no transitions in between the faces and the landings to really make up time and use that 250 top end to his advantage. So, fucking, no way. No way. Not going to happen. I think Osborne can get second at best, but I just cannot see him beating Hurlings or Cairoli. Covington is the wild card. Seeley, I have a lot of faith in Cole, especially how he finished the season. But Covington is going to be the true test. If he can get starts, and he can ride like he did the last, give or take, 6 rounds in the GPs, we have a very golden shot of winning this.
Yes.
But
that's due to injuries.
well, no. Even before that, I could have pegged him before, because you look down the line.
Nah, before injuries, I wouldn't even put it. I would have barely put him on the box. Now with injuries,
Put USA or Covington?
USA.
Well, if you're talking about France and Belgium were the only ones that looked like they had a chance to beat us before this. Because the Netherlands is the same team. Italy,
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But now, we stand a chance at winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
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 Okay.
Okay, great. Anything else about the MX1 class? Or, I'm sorry, about the Tier 1 class before we go into some predictions here?
No.
Great. Alright, let's get into predictions. So, what are we predicting? Podium finishes for the teams?
3, 2, 1, you give your third, I'll give my third, whatever.
Alright. I think this is tough.
Yeah, no shit.
Because there's just... Can I just put 3 that I think are going to be on the box, or do we have to actually do spots?
No, man, you gotta live up to it, dude. 3. Courage of your conviction. Come on, man.
Did you say Kurt? Okay. Switzerland in 3rd, Netherlands 2nd, USA wins.
What?
Boom, what's up?
What the fuck? What?
That's just what I pulled out of my ass.
Are you kidding?
Fuck, no, I forgot about Great Britain.
Oh my
Hold on, I gotta think about
god!
it.
What the fuck? You...
Alright, here's what I got. Switzerland's going to be 3rd, US is going to be 2nd, and I think Great Britain wins.
Okay. You want to elaborate on why you think those are your podium picks?
Switzerland's got a solid team.
Okay.
As long as Tona stays off the ground. I'm betting on Tona staying off the ground this year.
Okay.
Which I know is a long shot, but
Okay.
I'm betting on it.
Okay.
The US, I think, is going to do well. But I think Great Britain, with having Wilson, is running MX3, right?
Yeah, he's running MX3.
I think he's going to do better than Covington So, plus it's home soil for them.
Don't say that, because then if that happens, I gotta fucking wash Matt's filters, and he doesn't owe me money.
And that's definitely happening. Great Britain, everybody.
So
2017 MXdN champion.
So Switzerland, USA, and Great Britain.
Yep.
Okay.
I've seen wilder things. The fucking Netherlands got second last year, and
Yeah, but
goddamn
hurling's
Estonia was ninth.
Well, Estonia's actually done better over the years than you would think, but you just have to go back on that. And Netherlands only got fucking second because Hurling's won both of his moto, or won fucking his third moto and then got second in his fucking first moto. I'm gonna go third place, France. And the reason why I say that is because it's all gonna go back to the fact that it really only matters about that last moto, MX1 and MX3, and I just have a hard time believing that Paulin and Fevre, even with as up and down as their year's been, they cannot pull off at least a fifth and fucking an eighth. It's just really hard for me to believe that. Because Fevre, aside from Hurlings, is the fastest dude in the MX3 class. So you know that he can go out there and fucking at least get second.
What about Geyser? Is he racing MX3?
Dude, his fucking team hasn't made a fucking A final in like ever. That's another thing that really sucks is I don't think we'll ever really get to see Geyser.
Maybe this is the year. Maybe they take over 9th place like Estonia.
Yeah, but that isn't. Geyser's MX1 though.
Well, whatever.
So it really wouldn't matter. Okay.
Anywho.
So France, even with Christophe Charlier, I think when you have two solid 450 guys, it bodes well for you.
I think you're fucking high. Oh,
Really?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue. Finish your picks.
So you don't think Paulin and Fevre can do well?
I didn't say they couldn't do well. Do I think they're going to do well? No. Neither one of those guys have done anything most of the year.
Dude, Fevre just got fucking third.
And what else has he done the rest of the year?
He got like fucking fourth in the points. It's Paulin that you'd have to be worried about if you're really going to have this conversation. We'll see.
Just continue. Just go.
Okay, second place. I'm going to switch your pick, and I'm going to go Team GB. I was really on the fence about this. I think that I honestly think that Anstie is going to pull the upset of the fucking weekend, and he's going to win his classes. He's going to win fucking the first moto, and he's going to battle with Hurlings, and he's going to win the third moto. Because of the fact that they're on home soil. And he just fucking took Hurlings to the limit at the last race, and Hurlings was doing everything. And it's actually the most out of control I've seen Hurlings ride in a very long time just to beat somebody. I think Anstie's going to come in on a high, but I think the big question mark is Tommy Searle. Even though with all the tidbits I just told you guys and how well he's done, he hasn't raced a 250F since the 2012 season. Now I know he's been testing on one, but we all know how hard of a transition it is going from getting used to a 450 to a 250F. And Searle is one of the bigger guys in the class. Like, not just in general, the 450 class even. He's not height-wise, but he's a stocky dude. And if he can't get starts, it's going to be very hard to come through the pack. That's my only question mark. If you want to talk about Anstie and Wilson, they're going to be solid. You know they're going to be solid. They're going to be hyped. Probably going to drink a beer in between the moto with the fans. It's probably going to happen. So I'm going to have that second, but I could very well easily see your pick coming true and them winning. And third, and I don't want fucking people to yell at me and say, oh, it's American biased, but I have America winning. But before that, so people don't fucking yell at me and saying, oh, you're just, you know, you're being a homer or whatever.
You know, even with all the shit I've talked this whole video, the only thing people are going to say is, well, fucking, the kid with the helmet on thinks the USA is going to win. That's the only thing we're going to hear all week. But go ahead.
So if they win, that makes me look good.
Sure.
Does it not?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the fuck's your point?
If they don't win, then it's going to be even worse for you.
Well, you're just spouting off at the mouth how you think Osborne can win fucking both of his classes. So win, 1-1, that's 2 points. Covington at least going to get a top 5. So that's fucking 10, so you're on 12. And Seeley, I know for damn certain, can beat Paulin. He can beat Coldenhoff. He probably is not going to beat JVH. And he probably won't beat Cairoli. But he can pretty much beat everybody else. And then Anstie, you can't beat him. So that's a 4-4. So you're sitting at like fucking 20 points.
This is like the hardest race to predict all year.
Yes, it is, actually. Biggest reason because USA is because you're talking about 3 guys, maybe other than Osborne, because he would have been our pick no matter what. Tomac and Bagga got hurt, and then Anderson and Coop and Barsha and what the fuck ever. Osborne, you're talking about 2 other guys that have literally no pressure on them whatsoever. Like, there is people that, you know, you joke around about us having our D team, which I don't know if I go far that, just because that's kind of a that's a little bit disrespectful to Sealy and Covington, but I could see how you would think that, and a lot of people would say this might not even be our D team. Because Covington, first time on a 450, Sealy, never being really known for an outdoor guy until this year. But you're talking about a team that has no pressure on them to do anything. France still has pressure on them because they have two 450 guys that are solid. Netherlands has pressure on them because of Hurlings. Belgium has pressure on them because Van Horbeck is good and Strabos. Italy, whatever. You keep going down the line. There's literally going to be no pressure, and this is going to be the first time, maybe in 20 years, that we're going to be going in there and in the pits, and the talk isn't going to be, hey, how do you think America's going to do? Because everybody's going to automatically write us off as not even being top 5. There's guys that, there's honestly respected people on the other side of the pond, and I don't know if that's just because they don't like us, that don't even think our team can get top 5 because of Sealy and Covington. Well, I'm sorry. Covington just won the last overall, got second at the WW Ranch, has 3 fucking wins this year, and Sealy has proven that he can be on the box in our series. So you talk about them keep building and building and building and then having no pressure on them. I'm sorry, man. I think that just makes for a perfect storm, us to get our first fucking win since 2011. And I think it's going to shut everybody up. Talking about how the whole, oh, you're second place or third place or whatever, guys, can't do much. Because there's no pressure. We know how guys do when there's no pressure on them and not expected to do well. Especially Cole Sealy. Did you honestly think at the beginning of the year he was going to get 5th in the fucking points?
No.
And look how many times he got in the top 5 in the box. Mm-hmm. Pretty much what, the last, I think it was what, after Southwick, he was either in 5th or on the box every fucking race. Mm-hmm. Who would have saw that coming? No fucking pressure. Kenny was gone. Christian Craig really wasn't doing shit. Like, hey, Cole, you're our last guy, but guess what? We don't really fucking care because this is all about Supercross at this point. I know where your skepticism is coming in, and I could easily see GB flipping with USA, but I think because we have no pressure for the first time in a very, very, very long time, that gives us a good shot. And even if we want to talk about Osborne, even if he goes and gets 2-2, that helps tremendously. So I'm gonna stick by America and say we're gonna pull this one off. But if they get second, it honestly wouldn't surprise me. But the big shocker is the fact of Belgium and the Netherlands not being in there.
Yep, because Belgium's been in there for 3 or 4 years since I've been back and following it. I've watched them be on the box or win. So
the only thing I will say is about your Switzerland pick, I would say if you were talking about talent alone, I would completely agree with you. But Guillaume is a big question mark, and he's never done well at the MX of Nations. That's the only reason That's the only reason I can't see them getting a podium.
So, now, hey, if they get on the box, then
that makes you look good.
You want to make a bet so that you can watch my filters too, because
make a bet that they're going to get on the podium.
Yeah.
And watch your filters.
If they get on the podium, I got 2 filters I need cleaned and lubed.
Jesus. We'll talk about that later.
All right. So, any other final thoughts to wrap this up here before we...
What, in your opinion, is going to be the wildest moment of the weekend?
If Estonia gets in the top 10 again.
Literally?
No.
What? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, because you look at the other 2 guys, and they're not even fucking B-riders.
What is going to be the wildest moment of the weekend?
Like if a team does better than expected or does worse, or a guy is expected to do better.
Dude, I don't ask me that question next week after the races happened, and then I'll tell you what the wildest moment of the weekend was.
Okay, my wildest moment of the weekend, and I don't know if you can call it a moment, just a build up of everything. KTM Husky goes 1-2-3 every moto.
That wouldn't surprise me now.
Really? That's not going to surprise you that if the first time...
KTM has spent so much money on Husky brand, getting riders in, all this crap. They're building to be a powerhouse for the next 5 years.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
So,
but the reason why I would say that would be a shocker is because of the fact of how good Fevre is, the fact of Van Horbeck and Strybos. You know, you talk about Tonus, you talk about Searle, talk about Ferris. I just think it'd be a big shock to a lot of people if KTM and Husky literally went 1-2-3 every moto.
It would be interesting, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think it would surprise a lot of people. I just think it'd be a shocker because that would be the first time in MX Nation's history, I don't care what anybody says, a Husky is a KTM, that one brand swept everything. Because like I said, think about it. You talk about Cairoli and you talk about Cairoli, Osborne, and Anstey, the first moto. Because I'm not going to say that's what it's going to be in that order, but that's what I think it could be. Second moto, you talk about Osborne, Wilson, and Hurlings. Or if you know, yeah, or Covington, whatever. And then third moto yet again, Cairoli, Hurlings, Anstey. So that'd be my shock of the weekend. I say KTM and Husky sweeps every moto. Which would be fucking weird to see that you're nothing other than orange and white on the podium. But, that's my shocker.
Huh. Alright, well that's the thing. Okay, cool. So that's been our sort of prediction overview show of what we think could happen here at MXdN next weekend. We will do a wrap-up show after the race next weekend, so make sure to tune into that. Again, Tuesdays the shows go live, and follow us on Facebook because we do cool stuff. I'm just kidding. We post everything there on Facebook though. So
It's not really that cool.
It's not really that cool.
Honestly, it's fucking stupid.
I'm gonna start writing a blog.
Doubtful.
100%.
Nope.
100%. So make sure to smash that subscribe button, thumbs up button, like it, share this with your friends so we can have more viewers. And we'll see everybody next week after the race.
Okay. Whoa! We're back! Fuck off. Just fuck off.
Okay, we're gonna do this all in one take, one shot.
Well, I don't think the whole thing is going to be one shot.
I know.
It's going to be a lot of talking.
Let's try
Fuck
to
off.
keep it under 30 minutes.
That's not going to happen.
It's because you talk too much.
Fuck off, dude. We haven't done this in like 3 weeks.
2.
Whatever. Still haven't done it in 2 weeks.
Maybe 3.
I don't want to hear you bitching. It's been
Alright.
2 fucking weeks.
Alright. So, scene 1 for the second tier teams. Take 1.